Welcome to my FNAF for Doom guide. It's kinda sad this will be the last one. I'm going to miss uploading on this game, but apart from Victor's, I can't think of anything else to do. Maybe if I get a FNAF Doom following, I can play with others, but after this I will have to move on to another game, likely FNAF co-op. If you have a game, leave a comment. Anyway, back to the reason you're here. I'm going to start with the basics, garage, outside fog, and other basic stuff. Then afterwards we will go over how each nightmare works, up to night 6. You know how we do this. Leave your question in the comments, and timestamps will be in the description if you're looking for something specific. Let's get started. So the fog builds up as you spend time outside. It appears faster on higher nights, or at least night 6 that I've seen. Whenever you go inside, if Nightmare hasn't spawned yet, the fog's progress will freeze. The fog will stay on whatever progress it was on until someone goes back outside. But eventually, if you spend long enough outside, Nightmare will spawn. Everyone in FNAF 4 has a good reach, so when you see the black cloud, go back and fast. After Nightmare spawns outside, he stays there for 15 seconds. Then he leaves, taking the fog with him. Then the cycle continues. Plushtrap acts as the threat that prevents you from camping the garage. When you aren't looking at him, he slowly walks toward you. And when you aren't looking at him, it also reduces the time he gives you in the garage. As long as you keep your eyes on him, Plushtrap gives you 10 seconds that I've tested, from the point you walk in, to grab a new battery and leave. Also, when Plushtrap runs for you and you escape, he runs back to his chair in a few seconds. But as long as you keep your eyes on him and don't take a month in there, you should be fine. It's a good idea to check where the batteries are early, and they glow, so finding them isn't hard. And keep in mind the batteries are limited in the garage. When you grab a battery, it's a good idea to trigger Nightmare on purpose to remove the fog. Stand close to the doorway to get back in quick, because he is fast. And if you're laggy, it's very risky, so just keep that in mind. Now I'm going to cover the other basics before getting to the threats. The flashlight goes down 20 every time it's turned on, and it slowly depletes if you keep it on. So don't spam it, quickly use it once then turn it off. The flashlight's purpose is to remove a threat when flashed, basically a save me tool. The nightmares have a chance to spawn on their plushie after a lightning strike. Bonnie, Chica, Foxy, and Freddy has one, and when the nightmare is flashed, their plushie will immediately respawn somewhere in the house. When a door is broken, it will respawn on a lightning strike sometime later. And every time the R changes, it plays the sound. Now, if there is nothing else I forgot about, I'll start with Bonnie and Chica. Bonnie and Chica here have some differences about them. Chica runs faster than Bonnie, and she might have worse eyesight than Bonnie too. Their cycle is after they spawn, Bonnie and Chica stand there. Then shortly after, walk towards you. They walk towards you until they have line of sight. When they can see you, they stop and stand there. If they lose sight with you, they wait a long while, then move toward you again. If they can see you for too long, they scream and charge you. The ways to stop them are, go outside and loop through the garage to lose them, flash them, or running them into a door to lose them. Foxy and Freddy have their own tactics, but Bonnie, Chica, Fredbear, and Nightmare use the cycle. But there are some factors that change how long it takes for them to have to be in line of sight for them to charge you. The main thing that determines how long it takes is distance. Movement doesn't have an effect, and I'm not sure if crouching does either. While testing, I stood at the end of the hole and even ran around. It took Chica almost a minute to finally spot me. So the main things to worrying about with them is where they are, and distance. And I forgot to mention, they can summon some kind of phantom. It's hard to notice because it disappears when it enters line of sight. It's basically a copy of the nightmare that walks toward you and disappears. It doesn't even do anything, and that's what the smoke was. I think it's supposed to be a scare. Anyway, as you can see, I'm closer and she sees me pretty quickly. And try to be more careful than me when you're walking around. Anyway, now Foxy. When you see his plushie, remember where it is, and try to remember the locations he spawns and sits at. All the spots I know are here in the living room, bedroom hall corner, closet, office, the corner hall by the bathroom, and the second bedroom closet by the office.
Oh no!
Actually, you want to remember the spots more than the plushie because he can freely teleport between his spots, so something like this doesn't happen. So Foxy is basically an ambush predator. When he sees you, he screams and runs at you extremely fast. He doesn't move unless he sees someone. It's pretty much instant if you're close to him, but he seems to work on the same spot system as the others, because every time I stood farther away, it would take him a while. And I think his side has a distance, but that doesn't really matter because the house is very tight and has many turns. Flashlight seems to be the only way to stop him, because through testing, doors don't stop him. And looping around is a bad idea. So just keep these spots in mind and be careful around Foxy's plushie. At least more careful than me. I'm pretty careless. So Freddy, after spawning, stands there, swings his arm and releases his frettles. He himself never moves, unless a player touches him or his frettles find someone. He summons 3 frettles to run to a player, and if touched they will yell, causing Freddy to run very fast to your location and kill you. Flashlight deals with him like the others. I wouldn't waste the battery though. His frettles aren't hard to avoid and they are very slow. Any high place will keep you safe. But like I said, they aren't hard to avoid normally, so this isn't that helpful. Flashing a frettle will make him respawn it, so there's always 3.
Go get him!
Yes!
When you walk away, Freddy teleports to get closer to you, so don't expect him to be there when you get back. Also, when he moves, he leaves his frettles behind, so try to remember where they were and keep an eye out for them. And I think doors work on him too. And when he's flashed, the frettles become useless. Now the hard guys of FNAF 4, Fredbear takes over for Night 5, and Nightmare with Nightmarionne Night 6. Starting with Fredbear. The start of his night, he gives a speech and changes the environment a bit to set the mood. How he works is, he has the same mechanics as Bonnie and Chica, but he is way more aggressive, with shorter wait times and way less time to spot you. The main differences with Fredbear is that he just respawns a moment after he's flashed. And every time after he spawns, he flies towards you. It's similar to Springtrap's night for Run to get closer to you. It's just to gain distance, but here it's a lot faster and he stops very quickly too, so be ready to run around a corner. Doors still work, and that's the case for Nightmare too. You have to use them smart though. He sees you way too quickly to just run by like this. For Night 5, the main strategy is going to be carefully running him around the house and using doorways to repeatedly stick yourself out to let him see you enough to stand still, but limit how long he sees you. Here's an example of the Fredbear gameplay cycle. The loop repeats when he's flashed, and at 3 AM he despawns and gives another speech. It doesn't change anything, it just happens, and he starts again after the speech. For Night 6, Nightmare works the same way Fredbear does. The only difference is you can't flash him at all. So to avoid him spotting you somewhere in the house, we are going to be using the garage loop, a door, and corner peeking a lot. You start by one of the 2 exits, so he's by it when you leave the house. I like to wait for the fog so it's not there when I need to go back outside. These 2 spots are the best to hold Nightmare at, because this is the longest area of the house, and you can see both exits, which is where we left Nightmare. Now because he is so far away, it's going to take him a long time to spot you, and corner peeking will buy you even more time. When he does eventually spot you, you can go back outside, but if you're going to do that, then you should be closer to the door than I am right now, because he is very fast. My personal strategy is to stand at the end of the hall. Then when he spots me, I run into the bathroom. This causes Nightmare to run to the door instead because it's the direct route for his AI to take. Then he breaks the door, losing me, and I go back outside or through the living room. Then you do the same thing on this side. You do the cycle until 3 AM. Then the game will teleport you to the dream world. Then you will have to deal with Nightmarionne. The cycle is simpler there, but you will have to be more observant, because it is very dark here, so you will have to pay attention, and it gets even darker later. Anyway, this place is just a big area of rooms, with random stuff like beds and wheelchairs around. Anyway, the only threat here is Nightmarionne, this big lanky guy. He's the danger this time. The safest tactic I've used is to run around the border of this place, basically loop it. And when you see this guy turn around, basically try to keep distance and don't let him see you too long. Like I said, it's dark, and he can be hard to notice, so I would play on a higher brightness. Because if he spots you, well, it's basically over. He's faster than you, and I don't think you can stop him. Flashlight doesn't work on him either, so overall it's pretty much useless this night. You can use it to remove the tentacles around the map, but I haven't found any other way to use it. These tentacles just seem to be an obstacle to the player. Anyway, Nightmarionne seems to use the same line of sight system, because after noticing him here I waited at the corner for him to follow me over. It took him a while, but he eventually did. And he even stopped when he saw me, so I think he works the same way as the others. And I forgot to mention, there's this head over you that slowly gets closer over time, until eventually the head covers the map and the place gets darker and the sky turns red. So really keep your eyes out for him and be careful. After long enough in this, you will finally pass away and end the game.